Hey guys, it's Bray here from Blossom and Branch Farm, and today we're going to be making an herbal salve. So in our last video, we talked about a 4x8 cut flower / medicinal herb garden, and we gave you the plan and the layout for that. And I mentioned one of the salves that we made that uses a couple of those plants, so calendula and also lavender. So I'm going to show you today the recipe for the salve that we make using those ingredients. It's a really wonderful salve. I use it a lot for chapstick. You can use it for cuticle salve. I'll use it on my daughter's eczema. Seems to work quite well for that. You can use it as a gardener's salve, a balm. Really, there's nothing that I have found that you can't use it on. And works great on kids. If you have a child with diaper rash, this works well because it has beeswax in it, which kind of creates a seal. Now, if you are planning to use it on kids, or if you're planning to use it around your mouth area, you might want to omit or lessen the amount of essential oil in the recipe. But we're gonna give you the baseline, and then you can always adjust scents from there. So we do have essential oils in this recipe, but you can change the scent if you want. So let's start with the ingredients that we need. It's really simple. Okay, so here you see all the ingredients that we need. We have sweet almond oil, and I like to use sweet almond oil specifically because of its skin benefits. So it has vitamin E in there, it has soothing, smoothing properties, very hydrating, nourishing for skin. You can also use olive oil if you'd like. And we're gonna do 2 cups of sweet almond oil. And this is infused actually with some calendula and lavender. The flowers from the calendula and the lavender, we put directly into the almond oil and we let it sit for about 6 months. Now there is a faster way to do that as well. Here you can see we have a giant bottle of sweet almond oil. We go through a lot of this. This is 7.5 pounds. And at the bottom you can see our lavender and our calendula petals in there. So this is a slow oil infusion. And by infusing this oil with these flower petals, we are getting the benefits of the calendula and the lavender, such as the anti-inflammatory benefits, antifungal benefits, antibacterial, and also some of the medicinal qualities, of the calendula and the lavender. So we do it in a slow process now. We make a lot of salves, so that's why I just infuse this and I let it sit until I need it. Bear in mind that if you buy a lot, it can go rancid, so just buy what you think you're going to use. There's an alternative to doing this slower process though, and that is involving the Stovetop. So if you're getting ready to make the salve and you haven't thought ahead a few months to slow infuse your oil, you can do it on a stovetop. So what you would do in that case is you would take a double boiler. So we're gonna put a pot into a pot filled with simmering water and fill it up with your oil. So in this case, our 2 cups of sweet almond oil. And then you would put lavender and calendula petals directly in here, and then you would put it into your double boiler. But you want to be careful if you're using this method that you don't let it boil, because if it boils, it's going to get stinky. It's not going to smell right. It's going to actually, this oil will fry the calendula petals and the lavender, and it doesn't smell very good, and it also doesn't get the benefits. So in order to get the benefits by doing this heating method, you want to do a very low and gentle heat, very, very low. So even you'll want to turn this way down to a simmer even within your double boiler. Then you'll want to let that heat gently sit. Okay, the other ingredients that we're going to use are going to be 4 tablespoons of shea butter, about 4.5 ounces of essential oil. We are using lavender essential oil today, but you could use whichever scent you'd like. And then we're also going to do about 46.5 grams of grated beeswax. Now, you can buy beeswax already in pastille form, which means they've already been processed and ground down, or you can do what we do. We buy a pound of local beeswax from our local honey producers, and we just shred that ourselves using a cheese grater. So this is 46.5 grams of that beeswax. So we're gonna melt this all together. We're going to put everything except for our essential oil, and we have a few petals just for garnish at the end. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, but it's kind of pretty if you're doing it as a gift. So we're going to melt together our 2 cups of almond oil, our 46.5 grams of beeswax, and 4 tablespoons of shea butter. And this is the shea butter brand that I use. I use Alafia Pure Unrefined Shea Butter. Okay, so we have our double boiler going over here. We have our sweet almond oil. In the inside pot, we have some water. So just to set up a double boiler, very simple here, we have some water in this pan, and then you could either set a metal bowl, or I just set another pot. Within it, we're gonna put our other ingredients in. So our sweet almond oil is already in here. Let's put in our beeswax And it just melts better when it's shredded like this. And then we'll also put in our shea butter here. And we're just gonna stir this all together until it melts. While that's all melting, we're gonna get our tins ready. Now usually I'll do a couple different sizes. I like to use the 2-ounce tins for the purpose of salves and balms. So if this is going to be living out in my greenhouse or in my garden shed, I'll do a bigger container because it takes more when I'm putting it on my hands. If I'm making it to keep in my pocket or my garden belt, then I'll make a smaller. This is a 1-ounce tin, and these are just twist off tops. You can get them in bulk, or you can reuse old containers. So the recipe ends up making about 11 of the 2-ounce containers. So you do the math, it'll probably do around 20 to 22 of 1-ounce containers, or if you're just reusing containers, just have containers at the ready. Okay, so now you can see it's all melted together. It's even consistency, so we're gonna pour it right away into our tins because it will start to harden right away. If you dip a spoon in and take it out, it will firm up, so you can kind of test the consistency and see if you want to add more beeswax. If you want something firmer, like for a lip balm, then you might add a little bit more beeswax, but I like this consistency personally. So once we remove it from the heat, we're gonna add in the essential oil. And the reason we don't add in the essential oil before this stage is because heat will actually kind of cook the scent out. So we add in the essential oil after it's come off. This is 4.5 grams of essential oil. And then we just pour them into our containers. Be careful not to fill them too full because they'll be harder to set down. So once we have these all poured, now you let them cool, and you can, if you'd like, at this stage, you can sprinkle a little bit of petals on top, so either lavender petals or calendula petals. Usually I like to put whatever is actually inside the salve on top, just so that it's a good demonstration of what's inside. But it also can be a little bit of a pain if you have this on top, because then as you're rubbing your finger on there, it gets into whatever's on there, so like the lavender leaves or petals or whatever. So I usually just do a little bit on top. So as you can see, if we sprinkle on those flowers when it is still warm, then they can sink a little bit down into the mixture, which is fine. But if you want it to sit on top, wait until it has just started to solidify slightly, but it's still warm, and then sprinkle these little petals on top, and you can see they'll stay more on top of the salve. But you don't want to do this after it's fully set because it won't stick. Now, if you want to make them look extra special, you can print out, we actually just got these printed from Avery, and they're on a special oil-proof paper, so that, because otherwise this is kind of oily with the shea butter and the almond oil, so if you put just a regular sticker on them, it can get a little bit yucky. So we just print these out, and then we just put them right onto the lid, and that way if we do give them out as gifts, people know what's in them in case of allergies and that kind of thing. So it just says exactly what's in there. I hope you enjoyed this quick and easy tutorial, and go over and check out the garden plan with all of our medicinal cutting plants if you want to grow these along with me and make some more medicinal things from the garden.
I just need a little bit more.
Yeah, that's okay. Ah, how's it feel?
Good.
Oh yeah, that's
It
better.
doesn't even hurt my lips.
It doesn't hurt, yeah. All right, high five.
We make the best stuff.
We make the best stuff. All right, Cora, say see you next time at the farm.
See you next time at the farm.